This is a time where I'm going to share a story I'm not sure if I should share or not. Sometimes getting a little vulnerable can feel a little vulnerable. Okay, I don't even know how to start this video, but when I was around like 21 years old, I was in that kind of position where you have a lot, you have enough to not like want to complain, but you also are very unhappy with your life, if you know what I mean, as any girl in their early 20s will be. You're just trying to figure out life, you know? You're gonna have some discontentment going on. For me, the feeling of like it's hard to be thankful right now was when I would open the door to my apartment and I would immediately like have this sinking feeling of like, I hate it here. I wish I was not here. And that was immediately followed by a feeling of very like intense guilt and shame, like almost like a very nasty voice would come into my head and respond like, excuse you, how dare you say that? Like, how dare you think that this is not enough for you? Like, who am I to look at the four walls that keep me safe every night and want something different? Like, this was a home that I knew not everyone had. And those things are true, but it does nothing to fix the feeling that you have of wanting things to be different. And I remember back then I would just sit there and ruminate, like sit there in the discontentment and then the guilt for being discontent. Like I would oscillate between those two feelings. And I really wish that someone had told me like 5-6 years ago. Is it 5-6 years? I'm getting older. But back then when I was struggling to find my place in life, I wish someone had told me that practicing gratitude is a daily habit and it is not a moral failing if it does not come easily to you. And what's more is wanting things is good. Wanting things is not at odds with gratitude. I used to think that feeling grateful meant that I could never want anything else. It's like only being happy with what you have. But in reality, your wanting is a moral compass. Like it's pointing you towards what will fulfill you best. And it's really important not to ignore the voice inside you that wants more. It is possible to be grateful for what you have at the same time as wanting something different for yourself. And so today I wanted to share with you my personal journey for trying to move past all of the gunk and grossness of unlearning beliefs that no longer serve you. Hello there and welcome back to The Reclaimed Creative. My name is Jen Carmiel. I like to consider this channel kind of like a marriage between manifestation and creativity because I think they go hand in hand. Today I wanted to share with you a story about gratitude that really like changed the way that I see things. I don't know if it's a new method for affirmations, but for me it really changed the game, and being able to open up my mind and imagine a better life that was possible for me in a moment when I felt very, very stuck. If you need a little bit more optimism, I really do think that you would enjoy my Small Joys Club. It is my mission there to raise awareness for the fact that joy does not have to be big to be impactful. It is found in the small things. And the story I'm sharing with you today is pulled from May 2025's letter. So if you enjoy stories like this one, like join the Small Joys Club, you're gonna get more of it there. So for me, the first step at getting better with gratitude is acceptance. Especially if you are struggling with moving forward, like moving through something, if a thought keeps revisiting you. Like in my own life, that was a sign for me that I was resisting my own reality. Like I was looking at stuff in front of me and saying, oh, nope, gotta close my eyes. That's not allowed to be there. I don't like what I see. I need to be different. Like it was this it was like opposing what I was already living. And that was what kept me kind of stuck there. Back when I was really struggling to feel gratitude for my housing situation. So just to paint the picture for you, I lived in an apartment on a very, very busy street. It wasn't the busiest, but it was busy enough to disrupt me. Every single day at 4 a.m., semi-trucks would get on the road, like right by the window where my bedroom is, the thinnest window in the world with like little cracks in. Bro, it was not a fun time. I would wake up every single day at 4 a.m. to trucks entering the highway. And I was just like, I have a very sensitive hearing in the first place. Like I'm a very sensitive sensory input kind of gal, if you know what I mean. And so it was so hard for me. Like I would try earplugs, I would try white noise machine, I would try everything. I would be there at 4 a.m. Googling and YouTubing, how do I make this living situation for me better? I tried literally everything that I could think of. And at the time, I remember I moved my mattress into every single little corner of my apartment trying to find somewhere where I could just sleep, but I could not find it. I moved it into the closet at one point. I moved in the place where I ended up for the better part of a year was in my kitchen because there were no windows in my kitchen, right? So I I would sleep with my mattress on the floor of my kitchen for most of my time. And so as you can imagine, like this like constant feeling of like moving around in your house trying to find somewhere to get comfortable, every single time I would open the door and come home, I would have this like feeling of dread. Like if I could sleep at a friend's house, I would, kind of thing. But there were, you know, days where I couldn't do that, and so I just had to go home. And when I would open the door to be back, I can't speak, to be back at my home, like I would just have this sinking feeling of dread and like, oh dang, I wish I was just not here right now. And immediately following that feeling of I wish I wasn't here right now was this like feeling of how dare you? Like, how dare you feel this way? Who are you to feel bad about this? Like, look around you. Look at what you have. Look at what you have to be grateful for. So many people do not have a home like this, and you could be out on the streets. You could have terrible roommates. You could be living with toxic people. There are so many ways that this situation could be worse, so shut up. That is essentially what the voice responded when I would think, I hate being here right now. And the thing is, all of that is true, right? Like, all of those things are true. There are a lot of ways that this could have been worse for me, and I am extremely fortunate to have what I had in that moment. But the thing is, my dear friend, it is not helpful to bully yourself for what you feel. And it's just not effective. It just does not work. Like, you cannot point a finger at yourself and say, shame on you, you need to change your attitude, and expect that to make things better. And as we'll get to later, I think that this was really a symptom of a self-worth wound, because for me, struggling to feel gratitude in that moment, it was really me saying, like, you just don't deserve better. Like, this strategy of trying to shame myself into feeling something different, like, that never in a million years would have worked, because you are, frankly, not addressing the real problem. The real problem is not ungratefulness. The problem is the real concern for your well-being, something that you're perceiving in this moment is causing you stress, is causing you discomfort, and that is what needs to be addressed. The real problem was not ungratefulness. The real problem was the lack of sleep, the sleep that I was not able to get in my current apartment. And that is what my brain kept bringing up to me, like, hey, can we talk about this? And then it kept getting shut down. My body was correct to notice, hey, we're not getting sleep here. Like, that's a little bit of a problem. We need to fix that. And I'm really curious to know if you've also felt this way before, where you feel a spontaneous thought of what if I got something different? What if I wanted more for myself? And then you have to immediately shut that down. Like, have you also felt like that? I don't know. Just tell me I'm not alone here. The day that I was able to kind of shift out of this like cycle of I want something different, no you don't, when I was finally able to kind of shake out of that, the catalyst for me, I would say, is the day that I kind of sat down for coffee. I would go to coffee shops pretty much every Saturday morning. It was the only place I felt like I had kind of control in my life back then, because I was kind of giving myself to a lot of people. I was giving myself to my job greatly. I was giving myself to like friends that didn't care about me, kind of thing, you know what I mean? And so whenever I sat down for coffee in the morning on Saturday morning, but just by myself, like, that was a real moment of peace for me. At the time, I sat down to try out this cool new thing I've heard of, and I'm sure that you've heard of it too. It's called Affirmations. And the concept of affirmations, I remember learning back then, was that you write down things that you wish were true and state them as if they are true, and then you'll feel better. That was what I would like conceptually understood about the concept of affirmations back then. And I was pretty miserable, so I was like, hey, let's give it a shot. Let's see what's going on. And so I sat down for coffee, I opened up my notebook, and I wrote, I love where I live. I am so comfortable where I live. Now, as you can imagine, that did not hit the first time that I wrote it. And I remember I felt like I was wearing this like really ugly, smelly costume that someone else told me to wear. And I was just like, this is not me. This is not the truth. This is not how I feel. And it felt like I was just kind of lying to myself when I was trying affirmations for the first time. And so for myself, what I did is I made a small adjustment. I would write, instead of just writing whatever, I would say affirmations, and then I would write whatever I wanted to be true. And then I would journal. I would brain dump around those affirmations, around thoughts that would come up for me. So if I was like, I love where I live, I'm so comfortable where I live, I would then journal like my current experience, like what it felt like to walk into my house, and like what it might feel like to feel different walking in, like where else had I felt comfortable in my life, and why did I feel comfortable there? Like, what were the elements of comfort that I had there that I was missing where I currently was? And I would journal, like just brain dump around that concept. And at first it felt a little weird and wrong, but at least it didn't feel like an outright lie whenever I would just like say, oh yeah, I definitely love where I live, because that just wasn't true. And so I would do that occasionally. I would go once a week to a coffee shop, journal a little bit, try on the costume of someone that I wanted to be, and then I would go home. And I didn't notice the shift immediately, but slowly that voice started to get quieter for me, and I didn't notice it immediately. It was just like one day I woke up and I realized that voice wasn't as loud anymore, and that I didn't give as much weight to that voice anymore. I realize now that it was in those journaling exercises where I felt like I was lying at first. It wasn't that I was just lying. It was that I was giving a version of myself that wanted to exist space to exist. I was giving her room to speak, and in giving her a voice, giving her space, my living situation actually became a lot easier to bear. Like, I was still somewhat uncomfortable coming home. I would think, ugh, I wish I wasn't here. And instead of thinking, how dare you, I would think, yeah, yep, it sucks. And because there wasn't that friction, there wasn't that resistance anymore, it just became a lot easier. And the thing is, you do not have to win the suffering Olympics, my dear friend, in order for your feelings to be valid. Like, that is the biggest thing. Nobody wins by you telling yourself to feel worse. Did you know that? Like, it's true that other people did have less than me, but they didn't get more magically just because I bullied myself about it. You know what I mean? And I hope all the levity and like the laughter that I have here, I hope that's not taken in any kind of way. For me, I just like to laugh at silliness, like how silly it was for me to think that I needed to make myself small, and that being small, it made others have more, because that just wasn't the case, right? It just wasn't true. Couldn't have been true. And yet this is often the lie that we tell ourselves and that we believe. And you know what? I don't even know what purpose it serves other than just comfort of, when you change, you feel discomfort. The growing pains is what you get to avoid. And so give yourself the freedom, if at least only in your own brain, to feel however you want to feel. Remember when I told you that your wanting is a compass pointing you towards whatever will fulfill you best? Well, that is what I realized is the point of affirmations. They open up your world to imagining what is possible for yourself. When you are in discontentment, and specifically when you feel guilt about being discontent, that is when it feels so impossible to imagine a way out of it. In order to invite in new and invite in change, you have to be able to visualize the difference. What, if not this, then what? Like, that's what we're doing here when we like journal about affirmations and such like that. When I finally did move out, I looked specifically for an apartment without road noise and that had like less of a yellow hue to the paint color on the walls. Anything that I didn't like about my last apartment was in my mind when I was looking for something new. And imagine what would have happened if I had silenced the voice that wanted more. It would have been very possible that I may have renewed there because, well, just be grateful for what you have. I never would have allowed myself to imagine something else, something different. Or maybe I find a new apartment, but it's not much different because I didn't allow my imagination to run with desire. It would have been stuck in the guilt, stuck in the shame, stuck in the, well, this is just what I deserve. And this, my friend, is where we get into the self-worth wound, because a lot of times when you are struggling with a feeling of gratitude, for me, where this kind of manifested is the feeling of, well, you don't deserve more. Like, if I walk into my home and want something different, isn't that very similar saying you should be grateful for what you have? Isn't that a very similar saying to this is what you deserve, like you don't deserve anything else? For me, realizing that that was what was going on there is really what was the wake-up call. It's really like letting yourself feed into the desire, and desire gets such a bad rap, doesn't it? True gratitude is not the suppression of wanting more. That is scarcity. True gratitude is about abundance. It's about, wow, it feels so good to have so much. Like, it feels so good to have what I have. I'm so fortunate to have what I have. And that doesn't come with faking liking what you have. It comes with when you genuinely invite in everything that you want in life, like genuinely invite that in. It doesn't have to do with like wanting like a ton, but just wanting like the same stuff but different, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not wanting like $1 million, but like I want like cream color instead of ivory, like tapping into what the small changes can make to making yourself feel a little bit more comfortable and a little bit happier. Because for me, when I was trying to tap into gratitude a little bit more, when it was hardest for myself, it really had to do with being okay with accepting that I wanted something different, and being okay with letting go of what was in my life that no longer served me. And what's awesome is the feeling of gratitude does come pretty naturally to me now. It comes spontaneously whenever I have like my morning cup of coffee, or my handmade mug from a farmer's market, or my kitty Tazo coming up to greet me, or sitting in my lap like a sweet Tazo boy, you know? Like, it's all those small things, like getting a fuzzy blanket that just makes you feel warm and happy. Learning to feel more grateful happens with those small things in your life. And it also has to do with, in my experience, like removing things that were immediately uncomfortable. For me, it was so easy to feel love for these small things because I spent a few years listening to that voice of wanting and taking her very seriously, making friends with the different flavors of myself that I was too afraid to look at. And it turns out that when you do start to listen, like really listen to the complaints that you have and see them for what they are, which is real legitimate concern, that is where the voice starts to quiet down a little bit. And for me, that is where gratitude is born. I'm really curious to hear about your experience with gratitude or lack thereof, because I know that there is a lot of talk sometimes about, for some reason, like I think about being a kid and like you get a gift and then they're like, oh, well, say you're welcome or say thank you. Like a lot of times gratitude comes at when someone tells you to feel a certain way, to say a certain thing. And so I'm curious to know about your own journey with gratitude, if it's been hard or if it's easy for you to, if it comes naturally to you. Let me know in the comments what your story is. And if you liked this video, I don't know, I just really think you'd like the Small Joys Club. I think it'd be your thing. The story that I shared today was included in my Small Joys letter from May of 2025. And this next month, oh my gosh, I'm very excited for January's letter. When I wrote January's letter, I was like, this makes my soul happy. And if you opt in for the longer letter, you actually do get a journal prompt every single month too, and or exercises about how to enjoy your life more. Hopefully you find out about the small things that can make your life just a little bit brighter. Link in the description to join. As always, spending any amount of time here on this channel with me is a gift. I really do consider it a gift, and for that, this humble artist says thank you. One day I'm gonna figure out how to get Tazo in frame, because it would just be so cute, right? If I was talking this entire time and you saw Tazo in my lap. I'm sorry, did I disrupt you? He was sleeping. He was sleeping and I disrupted him. Oh man. He loves fuzzy blankets. He will just like knead his little paws into the fuzzy blankets. What can I say? He's just a cat. We can't expect much from a cat. Oh, don't knock that over, please. Guilt about discontentments. When you are in discontentment, I can't speak. This is what I do when I can't speak. I'm just like, mouth work.